Gadgetman 404, and today I'm doing a review on the SYMA or the Cyma X8C. Now, I've had this quadcopter for about 2 months. I got it end of July, and I love this quadcopter. This is a real good quadcopter, very stable in flight. It's got excellent range. There are 2 types of batteries you can get for this. You get a 2000 milliamp hour battery, a standard. I believe they do a 2200 milliamp hour battery as well. Does anybody know if you can fit a higher capacity battery? I don't know what ESCs this kind of quadcopter has built into the flight control board or whatever, because obviously put too much through it, it'll blow the board when you don't want to do that. But I don't suppose the boards would be that expensive to replace anyway, to be fair. This quadcopter costs about between 65 and 75 pounds in the UK, slightly less from China, but then it can take over a month to actually be delivered. This is not a paid review by anybody. This is my thoughts and experiences since I've had this quadcopter, and I've been flying it for about 2 months now. So I'm not being paid by GearBest or Banggood or AliExpress or any of those Chinese wholesalers, because basically this is what I think. I've flown it, I fly it when the weather's good pretty much every day, and I love it. There's a few little things I want to talk about, and as we get through this review these things will be brought up. But for now, first thoughts on this quad is amazing. It's actually very lightweight, even with the battery. It doesn't weigh an awful lot. The 9-inch propellers give you tons of lift, and the camera that you get as standard, where is it? Oh, where's it gone? This one, it's got no battery, so it's powered by the quad itself. You get a 3.5mm jack which plugs into the quad underneath. You got a little power switcher on. It doesn't just switch on the camera, it switches on the quadcopter as well. And you have a button on the remote, which when the quadcopter is on and bound, so you go up, down, it's bound, but there's no battery connected, that's why nothing's happening. With this quadcopter, I believe up is to take a photo, and down is to take a video, and then down again stops it taking the video. So that's how you get the camera to work with the transmitter. We'll go more into detail on the transmitter shortly. Right, so I fitted a different style camera to mine because I just wanted higher quality videos and pictures, and I'm using a Kit Vision Edge HD10. Again, this is not a paid subscription. This is what I use. This is what I've been using since I've had the quadcopter, and the videos on my channel are all filmed with this video camera, and you can see the quality. It records 1080p 30 frames a second, 960 30 frames a second. It does 720 60 frames and 30 frames a second, and maybe 480 at 60 or 30. It doesn't do slow motion recording, or if it does, I haven't come across that setting yet. Check out my review on that camera. There's 2 reviews on my channel, Gadgetman 404. You can leave a space and do the number 404. Just scroll through and you'll see the thumbnails with what this camera looks like. You get a waterproof case. It makes it up to 100 meters waterproof. You have a rear screen for that camera, so you can play back your videos in the field, seriously, in the field, and also look at the photos you've taken. There is a photo mode where you can set to take photos up to 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then minutes, or just continuous until you land and then until you turn it off. So that's about the camera that I use and get really good reviews or really good footage. Let's talk more about the quadcopter. Now, at a glance, it looks like a DJI Phantom 1. It hasn't got GPS, return to home and all those type of things, but at first glances, other than the legs, it does look like the Phantom range. It's got the light pods underneath, it's got the vents in the side to help cool the board down, and the vents underneath and under the motors to help cool the motors down. These are brushed motors, so they're geared. In this housing here, you have like a real big cog with a pin going through the middle, which is what the propeller fits on. And basically you've got a little pinion on about a 9-pin pinion or 11-pin pinion mounted to the motor, which one turn of the little cog then turns the big cog, which gives you the power. I'll talk about the power in a moment, so I'm just going through the basics of how it all works. These are 9-inch propellers, so they are massive, but they are strong as anything. I'm still on my original set of propellers and I've got no issues. I've come down hard, I've hit the ground and all sorts of things, and basically they're still going. They don't bend, they're really, really strong, and you get lots of lift. I would say they're probably 4.5-inch pitch. If anyone knows if there's any higher pitch for this quad, because they're not self-tightening, there's just a hole through the middle. You slide it on the motor mount shaft. There's like a little plastic gubbing pin, and then a little pin that fits through a little gap, and that locks it, and you just twist the little plastic locking nut around the locking pin, and then that is secure. The cone just comes off, just slides. It's not screwed on or anything like that. So basically that's how that all works. Now, vibration for this quadcopter, with one washer you had at least 2 mil of play on all propeller shafts, which gives jello, because the propellers can move up and down the shaft, you see, and although you're vertically or you're horizontally stable, the propeller arms, a wind gust can come from one side and basically it will move up and down slightly, and that gives you the wobble effect on your camera. So I've seen a few videos how to reduce or even eradicate, in my mind, this effect. And what you do is, with your spare set of propellers, there's a washer. Just get a screwdriver and pick out the washer, take the cone off, take the propeller off, take the locking nut off, put the washer on, put it all back. Now, I find that when you do that, the hole is a little bit obscured, or yeah, it's a little bit blocked by the locking pin. It will go because it's plastic and it's soft, but some people are saying having it really, really tight, you're putting pressure on the motors and that could burn them out quicker, etc. Don't know if that's true or not, but that's what people are saying. So I'm doing a video review, modded info, all in one video, of things you can do to this quad to make it better, or you could just leave it as it is and put up with it. That's totally up to you. You don't have to do these things, but if you want to, you can. So I found that by putting the extra washer on, it definitely has eliminated the jello. I'm using a better style camera which could have anti-vibration software like anti-shake as well, which is helping the photos and helping the video come out perfectly stable. But I don't know if that camera does actually support that feature. But as a quadcopter, the props with one washer do have a little bit of play, so I've put the two on. you don't get any play, but someone's saying now, well, it could help burn your motors out because it's so tight. So basically what you need to do is, when you put the locking nut back onto the propeller shaft and you see that it's slightly blocking the hole, just sand a little bit of the bottom where it fits on top of the shaft, and you will see that it is, until you see more of the hole, then you stop sanding, and as long as the locking pin goes through, you turn the locking nut round, put the cone back on, you're done. Do that to all 4 motors. You should have no issues at all. I haven't had any issues. I'm just bringing this up because people are saying it could cause an issue. Right, the other thing, the stock battery on this quadcopter is a 2000 milliamp hour battery, and it has a connection like this, which I believe is called a banana connector. Trying to find a dealer of these connectors is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Basically, it is pretty much impossible to find. So I'm trying to make my own adapter, which is opposite to these. Now these are slightly different sizes. One's like a 3mm and one's like a 4mm. So they're not even the same size. So you need obviously the opposite of that on the quadcopter, and they fit inside the ones on the quadcopter. Now on the 2200 milliamp hour battery, which is the upgraded battery for this quad, the fitting is a Dean's connector. Obviously this is not a Dean's, so, and the fitting on the quad is not a Dean's, which I will show you. Yeah, that is not a Dean's connector, so you can't use without doing a mod. Now doing a mod invalidates a warranty of your quad. So you need to find a connector that fits into there, very short, then have a Dean's on the other side, then you can use the extended batteries. You're not invalidating the warranty, everyone's happy, you get longer flight times, etc. Job done. Now, does anybody know if you can get or use a higher capacity than a 22, or is 22 the highest? Please leave a message, comment, and I will look into this further. If anyone else has tried using a bigger than a 2200 by doing the battery mod, please drop me a line, let me know, and I will leave a message for everyone else to know that yes, it can be done. It doesn't damage the flight control board, etc., because we all want longer flight times, but basically we can't get longer flight times with a 22, you know, or not much longer with a 2200. You might get an extra minute and a half to 2 minutes maybe. So high capacity batteries, definitely what they need to look at for this quadcopter, higher than a 2200. I believe the propellers are big enough, definitely big enough. A bit. Oops. Sorry about that, I just knocked the camera over. But if you can get a bigger capacity than a 2200, that would be fantastic. That would be really handy. Also, what else? The legs you can change for Phantom. DJI Phantom legs do fit. I think it's the extended version legs. So that's the one that you fit on your basic DJI Phantom 1. And then on with their camera, the legs aren't in shot. So they're slightly wider than this base. They sort of come out and then go down. So then I can have my camera mounted in the middle, which would be better for my CG. But at the moment, I have it set quite forward, which slightly sets off the CG. But then I compensate by, when I put my battery in the tray, I make sure I put something in the front, like a bit of sponge. So that means the battery can't go all the way to the front. It probably starts here and ends right near the back. So then it sort of balances out the CG. So that's what I've been doing, and it seems to be helping. What else? This transmitter, very basic, but it does the job it needs to do. Just bear with me. Camera keeps falling off the tripod and it's doing my bloody head in. I'm trying to make a video and it keeps falling off. Not very good. So apologies people, this is really annoying me now. Right. Put that back over there. Okay, right, so with this transmitter, to get it to bind when the camera is there, you go up and down and that is bound, but it's not fully bound because there's no battery connected to the quad. But that's just the basic. Now you trim. Now what I like about this is that sprung for rolling and pitch forward and back, but this isn't sprung. So you can let go of the throttle and it will just hover there. If it's a bit of a breezy day, then obviously it'll move backwards, etc. So you have to compensate by going forward, pitch and all that sort of thing. But as a rule, this bird loves to go high, which is why I wanted a decent camera on it. Check out my videos, Gadgetman 404, because basically I love going high and just seeing all the little buildings and the trees. They all look like little matchsticks. And this is a 70-odd pound, quadcopter, and it can do serious height. I've seen a video, a guy's done over 1,000-foot flight. He took off, landed, Googled his position from taking off to landing, and he flew 1,000 feet. Now that was only a few feet off the ground, but still, it flew 1,000 feet without any modifications. You can mod this controller. You cut that off, unsolder the aerial, you solder a SMA connector in there, screw an antenna in from like a 2.4 gig router that you may have lying around or buy off eBay for a few pound, screw it all together, hot glue it in. That'll increase the range even more. But I fly 200 feet or over 100 meters at least, and I'm in full control. I just lose orientation and then I lose control, but I have full control up until that point. This controller for video or photos, you click it up to take a picture with the stock camera fitted. Down does the video, that starts. Down stops the video. Trim, if it goes back, forward, back, left, right, left, etc. Bog standard, it takes 4 AA batteries. Now one thing which you will need to know, at the moment when you switch the transmitter on, the default setting is low rates. To get it to high rates, shoulder button on the left, yeah, there, just press it in, and now it's changed to H, so that's now set to high rates. You'll get a bit more angle of attack and a lot more speed and agility. It is not a fast quad, it never will be because of the size, but it is ample. It's made for aerial photography, so you don't want to be racing around because you want nice, stable shots. Shoulder button on the right, I believe. Forward flip, there, backward flip. Once you do the flip, it goes out of that mode, so you have to enter back into the mode every time you want to do a flip, which is a good feature because sometimes you can press it once, it's in the flip mode all the time, you forget it's in the flip mode and you cause yourself issues. So basically, for things like that, I believe it's very, very good. And headless mode, I think if you hold the left shoulder key in for more than 2 seconds, 1, 2, 3, it beeps away. That is in headless mode. It's not in headless mode properly because the quad isn't on, which I think is why it comes out that quick. But I think while you're in headless mode, it should beep like that all the time you're in headless mode. And then you press it once, you come out of headless mode. So that's the transmitter. Very good. I like the size. It's not very heavy. 4 AA batteries go in there. So that's that. You get a card reader. You get a 4 gig micro SD card to fit in there. So again, that is very good. That comes with it. You get prop guards. I don't use because that adds extra weight. You get an extra set of propellers. You get the battery and the charger. The charger only charges up its own batteries. You can't charge up the battery with another battery charger. It just doesn't work. There must be something in the battery that knows when it's using its original charger, which is obviously they don't want you to buy a different charger when they're selling a charger, that you have to buy their charger. The only sore point of the charger is it takes up to 200 minutes to charge up a battery, which maximum flight times is 7.5 to 8 minutes depending on the weather conditions. So if anyone knows that there is another battery charger you can use on their batteries that charges them up quicker and safely, please drop me a line and let me know, and I'll let other people know about what it's called and where you can get it from and etc. Because I would want one myself, because 300 minutes to charge up a battery for 7 minutes of flying is a bit silly in my mind. But the quadcopter handles really good. I would say light breeze, it flies better, which obviously makes more sense. 2 points, and these are the only 2 cons I find, or 3 points I find about this quadcopter. I believe it needs bigger batteries with the same style connector. So you can use a 2200 without having to buy adapters and make adaptions, etc. So you don't invalidate your warranty. 2, the motors. I do feel, through my personal experience, and that might be because I'm flying with a heavier style camera, but it's not tremendously heavy, like 50 odd grams. So it's not too heavy. I find with my setup at the moment, with a light breeze to slightly gusty winds, it struggles to come back to you like against the wind. And most quadcopters would find it hard, I suppose. But this quadcopter really does struggle. And I think it's just because of the way the motors work. It just going with the wind and across the wind, it doesn't really bother it. But trying to go directly into the wind at a slight breeze of even 5 to 10 miles an hour, it does struggle. And that is my only concern. So there's 3 things: a better battery charger, bigger batteries. If anybody knows if there's a bigger battery than a 2200 that someone has actually flown with this quad and it doesn't burn out the flight control board, then please drop me a line, leave me a message, and I will let people know about the battery size and the charger. If there's a better charger, please let me know. I will let other people know. And the motors, I do feel the motors are slightly underpowered for this quadcopter. With no camera, I suppose it's okay, but people don't want to fly a quadcopter without doing video. You know, the whole point in my mind of having a quadcopter is not just so you see it, it's so that people can see what you do. And to do that, you need a camera. And to do that, you need a decent camera, and a decent camera has a bit of weight to it. So there are things that can be done to this quad to improve it. And I think high capacity batteries, a better charger and better motors. I think it needs slightly more powerful motors, even maybe brushless motors. Yeah, it will cost more, but it will handle way better. I've had a quadcopter with brushless motors. They're quiet and there's power there, whereas these, because a pin is spinning round and then it's turning a cog, and if the cogs are slightly moving up and down, that it misses, missed times of flights, and it does affect its flying. I believe bigger motors, bigger batteries will improve the bigger. If they're saying, well, bigger motors, they need bigger batteries, well, fine, I don't care. I want bigger motors, I want bigger batteries. I want to get 10 minutes of flying out of my quad, not 6 or 7 minutes. It's not enough for me personally, but that's just me. I've flown this quadcopter in light winds to a little bit stronger than light winds, and it struggles, and that is the truth. I'm not lying to anybody. I'm not bigging it up. If it doesn't say it's fast, it's not fast. It will never be fast, but I believe it could be faster, and I don't want to be breaking any speed limits, but I think they will have to have bigger motors to power their bigger batteries to power their bigger motors. So that's 3 things: bigger motors, bigger batteries, better charger. Other than that, this quadcopter is a lovely quadcopter. It is very DJI looking, so in mid-air people would actually think it is a DJI if they didn't know that the legs join up. You can buy the legs to join up. You can get DJI Phantom legs to fit this quadcopter. They do fit. So without any modifications, you just screw them on because they're bendy, so it doesn't matter how wide it is at the bottom. You just squeeze it in, you screw it in, you squeeze it in, you screw it in. It doesn't matter, it works. So yeah, that's been my review. I hope you find it informative as always. Do try the few mods I've spoke about, like the washer one, if you want to try and reduce your jello. And please subscribe and leave me messages on if you know of any other mods that I haven't spoke about, and I will definitely let people know. There is an app on your phone for YouTube. I find I can't see my comments that you guys leave me on my phone's YouTube app, but there is a YouTube app called YouTube Studios, and that lets you look at all the comments you've had, all the thumbs up, likes, dislikes, tells you all your subscribers info. It's a real good app. It's free to download from the Google Play Store, so definitely look into that if you want to be one of these that respond quickly to people's comments. I now know when someone has left me a comment because of that app, and it's a great app and it's free. You can customize this even more. You can get the same color stickers like they do, like Phantom clone like stickers. So they're original DJI Phantom stickers, sets, skins, all sorts of things that you can really do to make it look even more like a DJI. But the biggest issue for me is the power. There isn't the power of a DJI, and as it's set up, it won't ever be like a DJI. It looks very DJI-y, but it doesn't fly like a DJI. But it is very, very stable. It's got good range, and for the money, invest in this quad. It can be made better. If somebody gets a bigger motor on it, then we're laughing. So yeah, I hope you like this demo review, pros, cons, personal thoughts, because I do have it, I fly it and I love it. It's well worth the money. Could be made better, but obviously that's when the newer models come out, which I believe is the X8W, which is a Wi-Fi version, and the X8G, which has like a GoPro style camera. It is lighter because there's no built-in battery, and again it powers off the internal battery, which will reduce your flight times. This has been Gadget Man 404 out.